Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. My name is Ray Petree. I'm a columnist for the Sports during the Augusta Free Press, and I'm joined once again by my co-host, my tag team partner, the Arn Anderson, and my Tully Blanchard, JDO Double G. How's it going, Jordan?
Going good, man. Going good. Excited to preview this pay-per-view.
Episode 25 of Petree's Pit. This week, we're going to, like Jordan said, preview AEW Dynasty, which is this Sunday, April 6th, emanating from the Liacouras Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We have a lot of matches to talk about. This is a huge show, despite the short-term build between the last show at Revolution. But first, before we get into it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, whether it's anything about these matches, some questions you'd like us to answer next week. We love interacting with you guys, answering your questions. That's what makes this platform so fun. Um, if you don't like watching podcasts on YouTube, this show is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Um, we also make content on TikTok, Ray_Petree, about basketball and wrestling, if you want to check that out. So, with all that out of the way, all the Shambles promotion. Jordan, this is a big show this week, despite the fact that the last pay-per-view was less than a month ago. Um, have you enjoyed the road to Dynasty thus far?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I think, like you said, it's been a pretty short turnaround, but I think they've done a pretty good job of making this a really interesting pay-per-view. I've got some good looking matches, um, and for the important ones, I think they've put enough of a story behind them that I think people are interested to see what the outcome is.
I think as of late, AEW's done a great job of not only building to the next show, but into the future. Specifically right now, I mean, we're not only we're building to the next show, but we're also building towards All In Texas. And that requires a lot of forethought and a lot of foresight and knowing where you want people to be at that point. And they've done a great job of that as of late. I think really starting before Grand Slam Australia, they've been doing a great job of that. Um, Like I said, this is a big show, though. There's 10 matches so far. And listen, we're recording this on Friday, April 4th. There's still Collision, and I'm sure more matches will be announced, probably for the pre-show. But in any event, we're going to start with the quarterfinal matches of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Quarterfinals, first round. You can use the term interchangeably, but the Owen Hart Cup's going to kick off at Dynasty. And there are three matches. The first is Will Ospreay versus Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight debuted last Saturday on Collision. He was on Dynamite this week. Jordan, what were your first impressions of Kevin Knight? He's a former junior heavyweight tag team wrestler in New Japan, so not really on our radar, mostly as American wrestling fans. What did you think about Kevin Knight and his performance on Wednesday?
I thought it was good. Like I said, I wasn't too familiar with him. And when he came out, the crowd didn't really react a whole lot, probably because he's still new and they don't really know too much about him, except for a few people who follow New Japan. Um, but yeah, I mean, he looked good, had a good look, obviously very athletic. Um, and him in a tag team with Will Ospreay was pretty entertaining to watch. So this is going to be it's going to be a really interesting match.
I'm sure this is going to be a highly athletic affair. Kevin Knight, only 28 years old, so definitely still on the younger side, has a lot of room for improvement. I think he was a great signing by AEW. Um, and I think this is going to be a good showcase for him on pay-per-view. It's amazing. I mean, he's only been here for a week and he's already making a pay-per-view. Um, but, I mean, being in the Owen Hart Cup, it's going to be a good way to introduce him to the fans. The second match is Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe, a former Ring of Honor world champion, 10 or 11 time Ring of Honor tag team champion, obviously with his late brother. Kyle Fletcher, I would argue maybe the most promising young wrestler in the world right now. In his mid 20s, he's already teetering on superstardom, has stolen many shows now with Will Ospreay, a former Ring of Honor world tag team champion with Mark Davis. Um, do you think this match could steal the show? We're both Mark Briscoe fans. We're both Kyle Fletcher fans. These guys always deliver in the ring. Do you think this could be a showstopper?
Uh, I think it's gonna be a really good match. I think it might be hard to steal the show because of some of the other matches down the line, but I think the fact that this match on like a normal, like a regular pay-per-view or a regular show would probably be a show stealer, but I think it's kind of a testament to how stacked this card is. Um, but yeah, I think obviously Mark Briscoe, great in the ring, obviously great personality, charisma. And then, like you said, Kyle Fletcher, just such a promising young talent. Obviously he's been likened to a young Randy Orton. And I mean, what better compliment could you have as far as a young, promising wrestler? But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting, kind of like a clash of styles almost. And yeah, I think it'll be a really fun match to watch.
The final Owen Hart Cup quarterfinal match is between Mercedes Moné and Julia Hart, the beginning of the women's Owen Hart Cup tournament. Um, I think entering this tournament, it seems like the two stars of this women's bracket are Mercedes Moné and Athena. They will be facing ostensibly in the semifinals of this tournament. While on the other hand, on the other side of the bracket, I think the favorites would be Jamie Hayter and Chris Statlander. And all four of those women, let's use March Madness terminology. They would all be number one seeds of a bracket if they were in it. So I think it's befitting that it seems like they're all going to advance. No offense to Julia Hart, who is a former TBS champion and a very promising young wrestler in her early 20s, but I don't think she has a chance of beating Mercedes Moné. Mercedes 6-0 in 2025. And her upcoming schedule is relentless. She's going to continue, obviously, wrestling in this tournament. I don't foresee her losing, quite frankly, because they've made a big deal about talking about how she's undefeated and how that first loss will be a marquee victory for whoever beats her. So she's wrestling in the Owen Hart Cup tournament on WrestleMania weekend, Easter, April 20th. She's going to England to wrestle in Rev Pro to defend her Rev Pro championship in high stakes. In early May, she's going to California for a New Japan Strong show where she's going to be wrestling either Mina Shirakawa or Azumi. Um, Her level of output since arriving in AEW, obviously the fact that she's undefeated, the fact that she has currently three championships in three different companies is all astonishing. Um, do you think right now there's an argument to be made that she's the best women's wrestler in the world right now?
I think there's certainly an argument. And I think the fact that unlike the women in WWE, she can go to all these different companies and wrestle and really showcase her talent around the world. Whereas in WWE, they're pretty limited to just the WWE. So, yeah, I think when you're able to go and wrestle in all these different companies and you win championships in all these different companies, there's certainly an argument to be made. And I think for her, when like obviously when she first started in AEW, it was kind of rocky. Um, People weren't sure if it was going to work out, but she's really picked it up. Um, and I think still her promos are not the greatest, but the fact that she's out there wrestling, constantly every week in AEW, in all these other shows, like you just said, um, sort of like when Kenny was the champion, he was wrestling in all these different places. The fact that you can do that and have the stamina and the ability to be able to do that, I think more than qualifies her to the title of best women's wrestler in the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that on the microphone she leaves something to be desired. Although I think maybe people exaggerate how bad she is.
Yeah, like she's not terrible, but
No.
and I think part of it is she's kind of trying to be a little bit annoying because that's kind of the person she's trying to give off as like this over the top annoying I'm the
Mhm.
best type of heel. So it works for what she's trying to do.
Um, but I tell you what, I mean, if she wins out in the tournament, that's uh, three victories. She'll go to Rev Pro win. go to New Japan, win. That means early, that means by mid-May, she's 11-0 this year. Um, Having defended multiple titles in multiple companies on two different continents. It'd be pretty impressive. Now, down the line, obviously. So she beat Billy Starks a few weeks ago after having previously insulted Billy Starks. Billy Starks is, I'm not using uh, a phrase, she is the minion of Athena for those who watch Ring of Honor. Uh, I don't, but anyways, Athena has been the Ring of Honor World Champion now for over 845 days. She's been a dominant champion. No one's been able to beat her. I think twice now people have expected that Billy Starks would be the one to defeat her, and it hasn't happened. Um, Now she could continue holding that title for the foreseeable future. I don't know. I think she's probably the best thing going on in Ring of Honor right now. She's probably the only thing that would draw people to watch Ring of Honor because it certainly isn't Chris Jericho. We'll talk about later. But all signs point to this feud building towards a match at All In. Athena is a native of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Mercedes Mone, arguably the biggest name in women's wrestling, at least on AEW's side of the aisle. Um, if Mercedes Mone wins that Ring of Honor World Championship, and she really is Mercedes' four belts, the Rev Pro title, the New Japan Strong Women's title, the TBS title, and the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. I mean, at that point, it's pretty hard to argue that she's not the strongest woman in women's wrestling right now in any continent in the world.
Yeah, I mean, if you have that many wins, that many championships, and that many victories over big time talent, then yeah, I even if you really, really don't like her, I don't think you can deny the fact that she has a claim um, as the best women's wrestler in the world. And yeah, her versus Athena at All In, it looks like it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be the match. Makes sense. They obviously when they were doing All In London, they had Saraya win the title because obviously she's from there. They had Osprey win the title in Wembley, so it makes sense that they would have this match in All In Texas. Uh, and yeah, it would be a really really good match. And yeah, Mercedes, she's on a roll right now.
I think 5 years or maybe 5 to 10 years from now, we're going to look back at this run that she's on and say, like, what an underrated, incredible, phenomenal generational run she was on. I think people really are vastly underestimating the quality of output that she's uh, giving us. Not week in and week out. Obviously, she wrestles, I mean, a couple times a month, but more often than not, she hits not just hits a single, she hits doubles, triples, home runs. She always delivers in the ring. And especially this year, I mean, it took her a little while to get back to the point where she was in the ring in terms of her performance, but now she's really hitting her stride. And I mean, like almost every match is great. So I'm excited for this contest. I think this will be a great learning moment for Julia Hart, a great opportunity for her because after her injury, her reintroduction into the fold hasn't been graceful. And a lot of that has to do with the landscape of the women's division. But um, in any event, so the rest of these matches, we have seven more matches. They're all title matches. I don't want to harp on that too long, but just seven championship matches on a pay-per-view card. How does that make you? And that's not even all the titles are being defended, obviously. How does that make you feel, Jordan?
Um, I mean, it makes sense when if you think about it. I mean, on a pay-per-view, you would think that the titles are going to be defended. The most important prize in a wrestling company in a sport is a championship. And obviously AEW we talked about before has I think a few too many championships, but nonetheless, when you're going to defend them, you want to defend them on a big stage. And in AEW's case, when you're paying the price you're paying for these pay-per-views, you want them to be worth it. So getting to see all these title matches is definitely a way to do that.
Pardon me. So first up, we'll talk about the tag team championship match. The Hurt Syndicate versus Big Bill and Brian Keith representing the Learning Tree. Um, neither of us expect the Hurt Syndicate to lose this match. This seems like a tune-up match for them, despite the fact that it is a title defense. This would be their third title defense. I ask you this: Hangman Page and Kenny Omega had nine title defenses, and the Young Bucks had nine title defenses in their first reign. Do you think the Hurt Syndicate can break that record? Not only on the pace that they're at, but how dominant they've been.
I mean, I think it makes sense for them to do that. I don't see any reason to take the titles off of them unless you are going to have either Bobby go after the world title, Shelton go after the world title, or the TNT title. I don't see the benefit in taking the titles off of them right now. They have always been so dominant. It's really helped the tag team titles feel a lot more valuable after the old Young Bucks private party thing didn't really work out. And I think it really hurt the tag team title value. Um, and I think they've really helped reestablish it and make it feel important, make it feel like a really tall mountain to climb. Uh, and yeah, this match, while it's kind of, it makes sense because obviously Jericho has told Big Bill and Brian Keith to, really try to make an impression. And they're like, okay, we're going to go after the biggest, baddest guys in the company in the Earth Syndicate, trying to win the tag team titles. And it's also too, it's Big Bill, who's obviously huge. Like he matches up with Bobby. I mean, he towers over Bobby when they went face to face. Brian Keith, he's all right. He's good. And yeah, I don't think they're gonna beat him, but I think it was a good opportunity for them to really help out. Mainly Big Bill for me. Like if he goes out there and he really shows, hey, I can hang with Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, two guys who are really hot in the company right now, I think that would go a long way in helping him establish himself and hopefully splitting off from the learning tree at some point.
Big Bill constantly taking L's, lost to Powerhouse Hobbs recently in emphatic fashion. This guy cannot mount any significant success in this company. His only string of success was with Ricky Starks, and it was probably because at the time Ricky Starks was a coveted star in AEW. Um, he obviously wants his rematch because he never got pinned for the tag team championships when he was champion. Ricky Starks did, as he pointed out last week on Dynamite. Well, 2 weeks ago now. But earlier this week, they had a squash match between two guys, CJ Esparza, and I don't know who the other guy was. I don't remember, but it was a vicious squash match. Quite the entertaining performance from Big Bill. The match was maybe not even a minute. I think it was the match Jordan and I enjoyed the most from last Wednesday's card. Um, there's an element of having a 7 foot guy who looks as ridiculously jacked as Big Bill does. This guy is in insane shape for his size
Yeah.
and has fairly good body control, is smooth in the ring, and can talk. We can talk about this to death. Why is this guy not pushed as a single star when he has literally all the tools, both that you would want and that you could dream of? Like obviously the size is not, it's God given. You can't hope for that. You just dream of it. He has it. He can talk. He can work. Why is this guy not a singles champion or vying for a singles title? Now, I suppose later on in the show we can talk about that might change. I think there's clearly a road here where he goes after that Ring of Honor World Championship. But um as a tag match, this doesn't seem necessary on a pay-per-view card, but I'm excited to see Big Bill at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this match is a perfect opportunity for them to really establish Big Bill as a guy who you could see as a main event singles star. And yeah, it's always been baffling to me because anytime you can have somebody who has the look, the skills, and the promo ability, I mean, that's what you want in a wrestler. And I just don't. I mean, I would be infinitely more interested to see him get the opportunities that Powerhouse Hobbs has.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't really think, not to disrespect Powerhouse Hobbs, not to throw strays at him, but like the opportunity like that, the push that he was kind of getting, I would like to see Big Bill get. and I think Big Bill would do a lot more with it. Um, so we'll see how this goes. I'm hoping that it's not like a squash match, and I don't think it will be. Um, I think they have a really a golden opportunity to really give Big Bill that kind of nudge towards being a single star and splitting himself off from just whatever the whatever Chris Jericho is doing. It's just I'm tired of seeing it. It's upsetting that Big Bill is a part of it because he obviously should be doing more, and hopefully he will. Um, but yeah, I think as far as a tag team match on here, it's a tag team title match on the show. You get to see the Hurt Syndicate, and yeah, you get to see Big Bill. So I think it'll be good.
Moving on to the AEW World Trios Championship, the Death Riders have had a stranglehold over this title since I guess All In now, All In 2024. So August to April is we're to 8 months now. They've had this title, which might be a record. I don't know. I don't really care about these titles enough to even Google that. But Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, and Pac will be defending their titles against Rated FTR, Adam Copeland and FTR, of course. Um, I've thought that it's been time for them to lose this title now for months. Um, I don't care to see them defend it anymore when they sparingly do. Not that it happens often. Um, but they've really sunk the value of the trios championships. And listen, you're talking to a guy who doesn't understand why there's a trios division with the trios title. Uh, I think 40 years ago, we figured this out. It's called the Freebird rule. Three people defend their tag team championships by cycling through their roster members. You can pick two people and defend the title. Why do we need a division where people compete as a three-man tag team in another division than the tag team division? Inherently, it devalues the tag team division, which was at one point a great attraction to AEW. That withstanding, Rated FTR, they have the talent, they have the pedigree, they have the drawing power, I think, that would make this championship and this division valuable again. But we've seen the interpersonal turmoil between Dax Harwood and Cash and Adam Copeland. Dax clearly going down a different path, clearly disagreeing with Adam Copeland, clearly upset that Copeland has tried to rear them in a certain direction. Um, do you think that will doom them to fail against the Death Riders, or do you think it's time that the Rated FTR wins this title and we move on from the Death Riders? Or do you, not to say that it is the time, but do you think this will be the time?
Um, no, I don't think so. I think when you tease there to be turmoil in a team, I don't see that that's probably going to happen. Now, I would love to see the Death Riders lose the titles. But at the same point, like you, I don't really care about these titles. I don't see why we still have them. There's a tag team division. Just have the Freebird rule and be done with it. Um, and also too, I don't I don't like the pairing of FTR and Adam Copeland. Like I like FTR as a tag team. They're one of the best tag teams in the world. And just, at one point in this company, they were the most popular tag team. And throughout the years since then, well, really, I guess it's only been like a couple, maybe 2, maybe 3 years, but however long it's been, they've just have been so devalued. They've been wrestling a lot on Collision, and obviously not a lot of people watch Collision. Um, and they really haven't had too many opportunities for the tag team titles. And in a company where the tag team division has been pretty depleted, to have them in a trio with Adam Copeland doesn't make any sense to me. And then to try to sow division between the two again doesn't make sense to me. So I don't think they have any idea what they're doing with FTR. Um, uh, Now, if they go out there and they both have, beat the crap out of Adam Copeland and turn heel, then I think that would be good. I think they would be a nice shakeup for FTR. Um, but yeah, I don't think this is the time to do it. I don't know when the time would be because I don't really know how many trios there are to just off the top of my head. Now, I mean, if I looked into it, I could find some, but right off the top of my head, I can't really think of any because the trios division is just non-existent. So yeah, I don't really want to see Brady FTR win these titles. I'd rather FTR just turn heel, beat up Adam Copeland, and be done with it.
I mean, the easy answer is you have the Ops waiting in the wings, who I think would be great
Oh,
trios
the Ops.
champions.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, well, yeah, I'd rather see the Ops than win. I'd
Yeah.
rather see that. That
And
would make more sense to me.
Samoa Joe said on Dynamite that they will be at Dynasty watching the matches, to study the competition.
Yeah,
That was kind of an open-ended statement. Maybe they're going to pursue individual uh, accolades as a group. But I think it's a three-man team, and I think that would lead us to believe that they are going to go after the three-man title, the trios title.
yeah.
Um,
I forgot about the Ops. Yeah, that would be like the perfect way to do it. Just have them because then you'd have traditional heel face match.
yeah,
The Ops, obviously, they have a lot of stock in the Ops. They've been really building them up. So
yeah.
I think that would be a good way to do it. So yeah, I'd rather see them go there and then Raider FTR just implode.
Now, uh, four-rated FTR. To me, the end game here would be FTR versus Copeland and Christian Cage. That Christian, obviously, the patriarchy, very volatile right now. I think at any moment now, Nick Wayne's going to betray him. Or, I don't know. I mean, betray him, maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe that's not a villainous thing necessarily, but Nick Wayne's tenure in the patriarchy seems like his time is numbered. Is Christian Cage going to become a babyface again and align himself with Adam Copeland against FTR? Will FTR turn heel? Will Adam Copeland turn heel? I don't know. Um,
I
but
think,
FTR's talked a lot about how much they would love to wrestle uh, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. It's really hard not to say Edge and Christian. They
yeah,
want to wrestle those guys.
yeah, I think the more interesting thing would be for Adam Copeland to turn to a bad guy.
I do too.
I think that would be. I would rather see. I mean, I would be okay with Christian turning into a good guy again. Um, but I think it would be. I think Adam Copeland has always been really good as a heel. He's always done some of his best work as a bad guy because he has that instinct of just being a bad guy.
Hmm.
And I think him a heel, uh, Cope and Christian Cage would be would be a really interesting thing to go because I don't want to boo FTR. I think
Yeah.
I think they would be really good. Now it's hard too because Adam Copeland is obviously very popular with people. I mean, they sing his song pretty much every time he goes out there. And I don't know how many years he has left. I don't know if he wants to do the whole John Cena thing and be a bad guy his last however many years he's going to be in wrestling. But I think it would be really interesting. I think it would be a good turn for his character. I think it'd be interesting. I think he'd have some really good matches.
I mean, for the last 5 years now, he's received the hero's welcome in every arena he's been to. He's gotten that last ride kind of feeling that the
Yeah,
time is finite and the fans have, showed their adoration for him.
yeah,
I don't know. I think maybe maybe he wouldn't mind turning
yeah.
heel
Although
again.
although I will say his match versus John Moxley was not well received. Uh, like it wasn't good. He kind of to me he was kind of showing his age a little bit in that
Wait,
respect.
the Street Fighter, the pay-per-view match.
The pay-per-view match,
Oh, yeah.
pay-per-view
Well,
match, that wasn't good. I don't think people really want to see him at that particular point winning the title. I think him being in a tag team would be good for his health aspect of it, not having to be in a singles match all the time.
mhm.
It would be good for him and Christian because they're both older. So I think that would be good for them. I think all around them reuniting as a tag team as bad guys would be really good for the tag team division. And I mean the Hurt Syndicate versus Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. I mean
Money.
that's a pay per view money tag team title match if I've ever seen one. So yeah, I think them reuniting as a bad guy would be great.
Moving on to the TNT Championship. I guess before we talk about this match itself, let's talk about the state of the TNT Championship. Now, Daniel Garcia defeated Jack Perry for the title. I believe at Wrestle Dream. And he has quietly strung together 7 title defenses. Now, 6 of those have been on Collision, the last one being on the Jericho Cruise. But here's the thing: the TNT title represents the TNT network, and TNT is the network that Collision is on. Dynamite's on TBS. So, to an extent, I understand why you would want that title to be on Collision like that. I mean, I think that just makes sense. Um, so that doesn't do him any favors because Saturday night watching wrestling, you know, we have lives, right? We don't watch Collision every week. We might watch recaps. We might watch the episode afterwards on DVR, but right. So I mean, he's not on primetime television. He's not getting the same love that he would get if he were on Dynamite. And also he hasn't been in any real marquee feuds. I mean, for a while he was teaming with 2.0 in trios matches against Shane Taylor Promotions in the Undisputed Kingdom. So he's already kind of at a disadvantage because he's not on Dynamite. And then you factor in that he's not always in singles matches. He's not always defending the TNT title. Um, and I also don't think he hasn't had the same luster that he had when he was in that feud with MJF. Now that's natural because he was feuding with MJF. MJF's arguably the best wrestler alive, but um, he's been in this feud with Adam Cole. They've had 2 matches. The first match ended via no contest when Shane Taylor Promotions intervened. Second match ended in a time limit draw, 20-minute time limit match on Collision, uh, 2 weeks ago now on Slam Dunk, the special Slam Dunk edition of Collision. So this match was announced as having no time limit and no outside interference. Now, to me, that makes it seem like it's going to go over a half hour, which that could be interesting. But you look at Adam Cole and you look at his physical development. This guy has gotten in immaculate shape, which was the biggest criticism of him for a long time from fans was that he just didn't look like a wrestler. He just didn't look like a combat sports athlete. And if that was your criticism of him, he's silenced that because he looks great. He's always been great on the mic. He's not only a good face, but he's always been a good heel. He has championship pedigree. He was the NXT champion. He was the Ring of Honor world champion. Um, is Adam Cole the right person to steer this championship in the right direction?
I think it's time for a change, and I think Adam Cole would be a good change for that. But I think also at the same point, I don't want to have this whole thing be an indictment on Garcia because I think, like you said, the way he's been used has really just torpedoed the championship, the value of the TNT championship. Because yeah, I think it does. The fact that it is the TNT championship, and you know, if it's called the TNT championship, it's going to be defended on TNT. And I think, like you said, that really handicaps the championship because you really aren't on Dynamite that much, which is the much bigger show. Um, so yeah, I think the biggest thing that would help the championship is that if it's seen more, if it's defended on Dynamite, if it's defended on pay-per-views and bigger matches. And so I don't want it to be like an indictment on Daniel Garcia because I don't think it's all his fault. Now, I think he's not as interesting of a wrestler to have the title when he's not going against like MJF. So, yeah, I think Adam Cole winning it would be a good change of direction for the title. But I think the bigger way that they could steer the championship back in the right direction is to have it seen more, have it involved in some more big time matches. I think you look at the people who have held it in the past and you look at the people who have been holding it now, and it's not that important anymore. So I think that's the biggest way you can really, really fix it.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. He hasn't been on a pay-per-view since he won the title, which is crazy because, well, did he even win the title on pay-per-view?
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't remember. I mean, obviously, I remember he beat Jack Perry.
Yeah, no, he beat him
Um,
at Full Gear. Yeah, so he
yeah,
won.
yeah,
Yeah,
Full
he
Gear.
won the title at Full Gear and pay-per-view. He hasn't been on the pay-per-view since. He did. He wasn't on Wrestle Dynasty. He wasn't on he wasn't at Grand Slam. So yeah, I mean they haven't done him any services like you said, but I think we talked about this on Wednesday. We were watching the show. If Adam Cole wins the title, your men's champions will be as follows. Either, well, I don't want to predict all the outcomes before we get to them, but I mean, Moxley or Swerve. It could be any number of the guys competing in that international championship match, presumably Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, and Adam Cole. It's a murderer's row of champions, of men's champions on all fronts. Like you have legitimate world champion contender guys holding those titles. That's great for those championships.
Mhm.
And Daniel Garcia is really young. He has a lot of time to bounce back. Make no mistake about that. So I feel like you have to go Adam Cole in this. I feel like it's his time. He has not won singles gold yet in AEW. I think this is a great title for him to hold, for him to bring some eyes on that show, maybe that it doesn't already have, because he was huge in NXT. He was, in many ways, the black and gold brand and the face of it when he was in NXT.
But yeah, and definitely uh, Adam Cole. Obviously, as you said, his look is a lot better. I think him winning the title would be good. Um, and I think too, the TNT title has kind of become victim to the fact that AEW has too many championships, which is a point that you and I have talked about a few times, both on the show and then just personally us talking about it. They have too many titles, and I think that's why the TNT title has kind of fallen by the wayside. Um, so yeah, I think him winning it would be good. I think them figuring out a way to get it seen more on TV and pay-per-view would also help it a lot. But yeah, I think it'll be a good match. I don't know if I really want to see 30 minutes of it, but uh, nonetheless, I think it'll be a good match.
The next match we'll talk about, speaking of titles, having too many titles, the Ring of Honor World Championship will be defended at Dynasty. Chris Jericho will be defending his title against Bandito in a title versus mask match. We could discuss this feud, diagram it, talk about Jericho's match versus Gravity at Revolution, and I don't care. I'm going to say this: Chris Jericho's missed the last three pay-per-views, which is certainly the longest stretch of missed shows for him, and it's been fine. Quite frankly, I haven't missed him at all. I didn't mind his last match at pay-per-view against Mark Briscoe, but that was entirely because of Mark Briscoe's contributions to the match. I in no way, shape, or form care about Chris Jericho anymore in the year of our Lord 2025. Um, if they think that people are going to tune into this show because Chris Jericho's on it, Tony Khan has lost his mind. Um, because he's in his mid 50s
Yeah,
and it's unbearable to watch him wrestle at this point.
yeah.
This match might be redeemable because Bandito's involved and he is simply one of the most electrifying in-ring performers in wrestling.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't care. My question to you, twofold. One, on a scale of 1 to 5, what's your level of excitement for this match? And two, do Ring of Honor titles and matches belong on AEW shows? I don't know if we've talked about this on the show before. I have strong feelings about it, but I want to know yours.
Um, well, my excitement level for this on a scale of 1 to 5 is like 5 being the best, 1 being the worst type of thing. I would say probably a 1. I'm just I've followed this thing sparingly. I know about the with the whole thing with the mask and him taking off the mat people's masks and stuff. Um, but yeah, like I said, there's a reason why people have been cheering for or chanting for Chris Jericho to just please retire. And I know he's kind of trying to take it and run with it and make it a gimmick or something, but I think it's more of people are just tired of seeing Chris Jericho. Like they don't, he's not that good in the ring anymore. He's old. Um, and you look at other older wrestlers like Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, who we just discussed, and it's like night and day. They are they're obviously not what they once were, but they're still really good, really entertaining to watch. They're still involved in really entertaining stuff. Jericho's just, I don't know, an enthusiasm vacuum. He just doesn't have it anymore. He's, like I said before, dragging down Big Bill with the learning tree thing. And yeah, he's not been on the shows the last three pay-per-views, and no one's cared. Like the shows have been fine, they've been great. Nobody talked about the fact he wasn't there. Only to point out that the shows have been great because he wasn't there. Um, as far as the Ring of Honor titles, no, I don't think they should be defended on AEW, especially pay-per-views. But um, I mean, maybe the pre-show if you're going to do it. But um, yeah, I don't think you should be defending the Ring of Honor titles on there. It's Ring of Honor is just kind of there. I don't think anybody really cares too much about it. And Tony Khan's done a pretty good job of not having a lot of Ring of Honor titles defended because before, I mean, it was the TV title, it was the tag team titles, and it was the Ring of Honor World title. He's kind of kept most of them on Ring of Honor, except for the World title, which again has not been very much. And the fact that Chris Jericho's holding it makes it even worse to see defended on a pay-per-view. So yeah, I'm not excited for this match. I don't really care about it. I could take a nap during it and it wouldn't bother me. Um, so yeah, that's how I feel about it. I think you're muted, brother.
I think I am. Sorry about that. Bandito is a former Ring of Honor champion. And I would be nice to see him have that title back, but I mean, I don't want to see it on an AW pay-per-view. I do want to amend something I said. Chris Jericho's been on the shows. He just hasn't been on the main cards. He's been on the pre-shows
Yeah.
and some of the prior cards. So, which is fine with me. I don't watch the pre-shows because it's already a lot of wrestling to consume when you're paying for the actual show. So,
Mhm.
anyways, moving on. I could talk about that for a half hour about the downfall of Chris Jericho, but
Yeah.
international championship match, Kenny Omega defending his title against Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey. Ricochet and Mike Bailey double pinned each other in the finale of the International Championship Eliminator Tournament. So they both continued on to this match. Speedball really has impressed me since debuting in AEW. I'm not surprised. I mean, but just he's looked great. He's phenomenal in the ring. A really dynamic performer offensively, and we know what Ricochet can do in the ring. And we've slowly learned what he can do out of the ring as a character and as a heel, and how much he's progressed and how much he's shined over the last few months as a heel. Despite all of that, those two forces working against Kenny Omega, I don't think Kenny Omega is losing his title in this match. Like we've said before, I think the goal is Kenny Omega versus Okada at All In, maybe unifying those titles, um, or at least someone becoming a double champion. Um, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5-star rating, what do you think this match is going to be? Because I think this definitely could easily be the best match of the show. I think all signs point to this being the best match of the night.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good match. I think I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to go out right on a limb and say 5 stars, but I would, like 4.25, 4.5, somewhere right there, which is still pretty close. And also too, the thing I really like about this match, I really like how they built it to where you have obviously neither of us think Kenny's going to lose, but you have a guy who just came into the company, Speedball Mike Bailey. Immediately, he's going up against one of your biggest stars in the company, Kenny Omega. So you're already associating with the main event talent. And then with Ricochet, he's obviously been on a really good run. He's really built up his character as being this just annoying heel. Um, and he's obviously really good in the ring. So the fact that these two are associated in this match with Kenny Omega and the fact that, whoever takes the pin, it's not going to hurt them because they're losing to Kenny Omega. So it's one of the rare matches where I don't think you could have a bad outcome. Um, now, obviously, if Ricochet or Speedball Mike Bailey beat Kenny Omega, I'd have a problem with that. So that would be the only bad outcome. But as far as Kenny going in, he's uh, wrestling a pure hated heel in Ricochet, and he's facing a newcomer in Speedball Mike Bailey, which is only going to help Bailey. So I think it's a really good well put together match. And yeah, I think this is going to be the match of the night.
Yeah, Kenny Omega always delivers. Ricochet always delivers. Speedball Mike Bailey always delivers. So I think this is going to be a home run. And I'm excited to see this match. And this is going to be a huge feather in Omega's cap, defeating these two uh, at Dynasty. Now, we have the two world title matches. Um, I'm inclined to talk about Tony Storm and Megan Bayne last because I think of the two title matches, it will be the best. But we're going to start there. Tony Storm just won this title in mid-February, defeating Mariah May at Grand Slam Australia. She defended it against Mariah May at Revolution in a, I think we talked about it, in maybe the best women's match in American women's wrestling history. It was phenomenal. The Hollywood ending. Um, There's a lot of talk right now about the women's division. We spent quite a while last week talking about it, about Saraya leaving, maybe Britt Baker's going to leave, maybe Mariah May's going to leave. And despite all that, we have a great match here that's been built well. Megan Bayne coming in AEW has just looked like a goddess, like she's billed as the Megasis. She's inviolable. She pinned Tony Storm clean in the ring 2 weeks ago on Dynamite in a tag team match. No interference, no chicanery, no underhanded methods, just an F5 and the pin. Do you think this outcome will be any different than that? Or do you think Tony Storm's going to pull this out?
I've had a hard time with this one. I've been trying to figure what would be the better way for this match to go. And on the one hand, I'm inclined to say that I think Tony Storm would win because of the fact she got beat clean the other night and she just won the title back. She's the biggest star in the women's division in AEW. Um, but it's just I don't think Megan Bayne losing here would be good for her. I mean, they've really built her as just this monster heel, goddess that I mean, she beat the champion clean. And you look at these two just physically, it would look like Megan Bayne would absolutely destroy Tony Storm. Um, and I think they've really built her up as somebody who, if she won the title, she would be a dominant force for a long time and would hold it for a long time, I feel like. So yeah, this one I think is really hard for me to say where I think they'll go with it. Um, I would like, I think I would like to see Megan Bayne win it. Because while I don't like someone holding a title for like, you know, really short amounts of time, uh, I think in this case it would be warranted because it would be shocking. It would really help Megan Bayne, really push her into the upper echelon of the women's division. And, I think it would give hopefully some other people a chance to wrestle for the title and maybe they can move Tony Storm away from it for a little while. Um, so yeah, I think this will be the upset of the night.
I think between 1997 and 2003, 2004, in the WWE, no one ever held that title more than like 150 days. The WWE Championship. It was constantly switching hands. And that cycle continued until I guess like Brock Lesnar probably, right? You would know better than I would about this. You're better with your Attitude Era, ruthless aggression history than I am, but I don't think anyone held that title longer than 150 days for like a 7 year stretch because there were so many great wrestlers and you could constantly flip the title and it was fine, right?
Yeah, I think, like, really, I think I don't even know, maybe it was like until Cena when he held it for a year. Because I
JBL
know,
had it for a long time.
yeah, I'm sorry, JBL held it. But I think even when he held it, it was unprecedented when
Yeah.
he held it for as long as he did. I mean, even before when Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, Big Show, uh, all those guys were vying for the title, Eddie Guerrero, uh, all those guys were switching the title around. So even into like 2003, 2004, until JBL, it really hadn't happened. And after that, it was only a couple of guys. Like
Yeah.
JBL did it, Cena did it. Punk did it, and then it's morphed into now where people hold it long all the time. But um, not to go off on a WWE thing, but yeah, I think it's never good to switch titles around constantly. It really, I think, devalues the title a little bit. Um, but in this case, yeah, I think it would definitely be warranted.
Yeah, I mean, the AEW's done a really great job of if you're a world champion, you're probably at least going to hold the title for 6 months, barring injury,
Yeah.
which is in most cases these short reigns, it's been because of injury. And Toni Storm's a four-time women's champion at this point. She doesn't need to go on a dominant reign. I think you're right. I think maybe it's Megan Bayne's time.
Mhm.
I think it would be jarring to see her lose in this way. And also the fact that Toni Storm is kind of universally regarded now as the best women's wrestler in AEW. I don't think, and just in terms of her all-around ability,
Yeah.
obviously I know that I say that juxtaposed to what I said about Mercedes Moné, but as she's the face of this division. She can talk, she can work. Her gimmick is dynamic. She doesn't need the title to be recognized as an elite wrestler. Um, Whereas you give the title to Megan Bayne, and now you position the next babyface to have a really huge win, and that chase could be very interesting. She could be the force that this title needs to draw some more interest and to put more women in spotlights that they wouldn't otherwise be at, because you could just have her beat challenger after challenger. Um, I think this is a right move. Now, does this match go to a draw? Does it? We'll see. But I think Megan Bayne's going to win this. And maybe down the road, this is Toni Storm's Rocky Four story where she has to come back, work her way back, and have the rematch.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about this women's title match?
Uh, yeah, I think Megan Bayne's the right move. And I think I will say this a little bit off topic, but I think both companies, WWE and AEW, have done a really good job of making when they hold people hold these titles, they hold them for a good amount of time to where the win is important and it's significant. And then if you do have a quick title change like this, it's not overdone and it's not, we haven't seen it 15 times before. So I think in that case, I think that helps this potential upset really mean something, really be a shocking moment, and I think it'll be good.
The final match is ostensibly the main event of this show. Jon Moxley defending his world championship against Swerve Strickland. Now, last year, Dynasty, Swerve Strickland won the world championship. So, my simple question is, will lightning strike twice? Will Swerve Strickland um, win this title again at Dynasty, or is Moxley's reign of terror going to continue?
Yeah, I think the way that this has been built up and the way that they've really tried to establish Swerve as, I won't say the face of the company, but he's one of the faces of the company. When he was champion before and they were doing the early promotion for All in Texas, he was there, he was promoting it. Um, and whether or not you like Swerve or you don't, I think there's no question he kind of has that aura about him that people are drawn to.
Mhm.
Um, he's got the out of the ring pop culture stuff going on with him. He's really into that. I think he really helps AEW establish them as, you know, a force in the outside of the ring stuff that John Moxley just doesn't.
In entertainment.
Um, yeah, entertainment. That's right. That's what I was looking for. In the entertainment world, he really helps them there, and also in popularity. I mean, he's one of their most popular wrestlers. You can't deny that. And I think the way that Dynamite ended with him getting slammed in the glass and him sitting up and just kind of laughing about it with Moxley looking like he doesn't know what to do. Thought that was great. Thought it made it look like there's nothing you can do that will hurt this guy. So I think it's time. I don't. If you don't do it here, then when? You know, when are you gonna do it? Who's gonna beat him for it? I don't know. I think we've talked about it at nauseum how this Death Riders thing has not worked. The whole thing with Moxley has not worked. It's not interesting to people. They want it to end, And I think Lightning's going to strike twice, and I think Swerve is going to win again, and he's going to be the champion, and potentially going into All In, he'll be the champion. Um, so yeah, that's I think that's how this is going to go.
On Dynamite, Hangman Page confronted Swerve Strickland, promising that he'll do anything he possibly can to prevent Swerve Strickland from recapturing that title. Swerve Strickland said, "You need to let it go." Hangman Page said, "You broke into my house." Swerve Strickland said, "Will you burn my house down?" Hangman Page said, "You deserved it." Swerve Strickland said, "I know." And like that, Hangman Page, just too confused to continue shoving, pulling, trying to get to Swerve, just walked away. Last year at All In, Swerve Strickland was facing Bryan Danielson, trying to defend his title. Hangman Page intervened, didn't get physical, but just his mere presence distracted Strickland long enough for Danielson to recollect himself. Do you think Hangman Page is going to play a similar role in this match in service of Strickland? Would that be a full circle moment for this storyline?
Yeah, yeah, I think it would. It would definitely be. It would go along with how this is going to be kind of trending. Like you said, he cost him the last time he was in a title match. This time he comes in and he helps him. Obviously, Hangman's had his own problems with John Moxley. Um, so yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be a full circle moment for him. I think it would. It would help to if they want to change up the whole enraged, angry Hangman Page and make him more of a not like he was before, but not as deranged version.
Mhm.
Almost like he's letting go of everything that happened before,
Yeah.
and he's finally kind of softening up a little bit. And yeah, I think that would go a long way. I don't know where it goes after that, but um, I think for this particular moment, yeah, I think it would definitely help. I think it would definitely be a pretty big thing for Hangman to after everything they've gone through to him for him to help Swerve win the title would be pretty big.
Hangman Page competing in the Owen Hart Cup quarterfinals next week, presumably, trying to earn his spot at All In the main event. Um, hard to imagine that there's a better main event you could pick than Swerve versus Hangman at All In. I mean, it's maybe the marquee feud they have. I mean, I could argue, Will Ospreay versus Swerve would be a great match, and obviously they wrestled last year at Forbidden Door, but Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland would be a hell of a main event, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Like I said, I'm always inclined to say that Will Ospreay would be good, and I think both of us have said before he'd be a future world champion. But for the story behind this, the history that this feud has, I think for those two to wrestle for the world title, and maybe for it to not be like we want to kill each other, but like more of a we're gonna respectfully we're gonna see who's the best
Yes.
out of the two of us. Who is the better one? The last few times we've wrestled, it's been out of anger, hatred, malice. This time it's about who's the best in the ring. And at the end of it, maybe there'll be like a show of respect between the two and they can put that feud to bed. That would be, I think, a good build upon all the work they've put in beforehand. And yeah, it'd be a great match.
Well, that's going to do it for our preview of AEW Dynasty. We're really excited for this show. I hope you guys are as well. I hope maybe our preview shed some light on some of these matches and gave you guys some new perspective on what's going to happen. If you have any comments, please let us know about these matches. If you have any questions you'd like us to answer, we'd love to do that next week. I think next week we're going to be previewing WrestleMania, which is going to be a huge show. Um, both for us and obviously WrestleMania. But anyways, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time. Jordan, talk to him, brother.
Pound Dogs out.